Hey YouTube, our 2005 Acura TL's got a case of the hots. Let's see if we can get this thing to cool down and operate a little bit better, a little cooler, with a new fan, new improved fan blades. It's got the Siemens licensed 30% more airflow apparently, and a new thermostat. Let's see if that gets us some flow and cool this car down because it's in the heat of the summer. Alright, so about a week ago we experimented with a new radiator cap. This is the 1.1 bar, meets the OEM specs. Because if the pressure is, if it's not holding pressure through here as it warms up, it can cause blockage in the radiator and not get enough back pressure on the water pump to flow the coolant. That did not solve our problem. So we did a little test drive last week and real quickly noticed that this fan, which is our primary cooling fan, never turns on. Also with that, this hose, this thermostat is sitting right in here, and the temperature sensor comes right off of the return on the top of the engine actually. But the thermostat opens up on this car off the manifold. So what's kind of happening interesting here is after that little test drive where we didn't have this fan kick on, this hose was very warm and this lower hose was pretty much ambient temp, noticeably cooler, which tells us that that thermostat is stuck closed and not allowing any coolant to come back through here to flow through the radiator. This one is getting hot just from the heat of the coolant on the top of the manifold. There's no gateway right here on the return, so it's just kind of working the heat back. So this one was much warmer than the lower one, so we definitely have a closed thermostat. We could have a working thermostat and a clogged radiator, but I don't anticipate that. So I think we have a little combo here. It is a cheap repair. Let me show you some parts. All right, including shipping to our house, these parts are less than $100 off of Rock Auto. So on the cooling fan, it comes with the motor pre-wired. All we have to do is plug and play. Super easy. We do have to drain some coolant. Obviously, you have to drain the coolant. This wouldn't require the coolant to be drained. That thermostat does. So it's the TYC cooling fan. It is a 600800. Apparently, it has licensed blade shapes from Siemens, which is a 30% more airflow, more efficient working system than the OEM Honda one. So it's got Siemens technology in it. That was literally 60 bucks. And then this thermostat is an Asian, which is the OEM manufacturer in Japan. The thermostat was a whopping $18. So $99 to our door. Let's see if we can get this thing to operate. Look at our glorious new Jamie Cars lighting, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button down here. We invested all that money on the first payout in new lighting and actually need another check to make it break even, but it is going to be way better out here through the winter, especially when the door's closed. Yeah, it's a nice little, I still like this Acura TL, but the garage is looking pretty sharp. I like this place. I like this little car. We're gonna make this thing work. Other quick thing I just noticed is that we are sitting just fine on the coolant reservoir overflow tank. So it's sitting right at underneath the max or right at it. But when I pop this, obviously the car is cool. I'm not seeing anything in there. Is that normal? Not really sure. We'll see how much coolant comes out. But I do know it's not blowing steam out the back, so that's a great sign. We don't have any we'll just leave that off for a minute because we're gonna drain the coolant. My favorite thing. We don't have any head gasket steam coming out the tailpipe, so it's not burning its way through that I know of yet. All right, YouTube, draining coolant, and I'm just sitting here thinking to myself what I just said made absolutely no sense. So when the thermostat opens, hot coolant flows off the top of the manifold to the radiator on the uphill higher side. As it cools, it goes to the bottom and comes back. That's normal. So the thermostat is on the re-entry to the engine. The coolant reservoir tank does not drain. Obviously, it's not connected. It's not part of the system like on a Volvo. It's just the overflow reservoir. So when it gets hot, it puts it in there and it can suck it back. That's all it does. All right, let's gain some access. I took the beauty cover off. We just got to get access. I'm going to pull some hoses here. We'll probably lose more coolant, but we got to gain access down to this down there where my hand's at, my finger's moving. That is our thermostat housing. And that's all that came out of the radiator, which is, I would have expected more. If I remember right, last time it wasn't a lot. And that is a mix of Prestone Green and Peak Blue, if I remember correctly. There is a separate drain block on the bottom of the engine on the passenger side down by the oil filter way down there, but we don't need to drain it that full. We just need it to not leak a ton of it out when we open up the thermostat and pull these hoses off. All right, well, I just disconnected these electrical sensors. One is the intake air temperature sensor on the throttle body, and the other one's going down here to the engine coolant temperature sensor. Just removed those and tucked them out of the way. I already pulled this hose off. I just need to get down in here to get to that. And this is gonna stay in my way, I'm pretty sure. Yep, that's gonna stay in my way. So I just gotta get in here to these clamps with my little wrench. All right, I can't really get any wrenches onto these little toggles, and the next one, the lower one's gonna be even worse. So I'm gonna remove this battery box, which means the battery's coming out just 10 millimeter bolts. That comes out easy, and then we can get this box out of the way and access straight in there underneath. But now I can get my wrench in right here. Super easy, and get both of those toggles. Oh, I can actually see the transmission filler too. All right, I was able to get the upper radiator hose off. It's just sitting down there waiting for me. Just got the screwdriver just in against the housing and was able to just like slightly turn it and start getting it to wiggle, and then it starts slightly breaking free from years of being bonded on there with heat. A little bit more heat than we want now. But this one, where I'm tapping, is a little bit harder to get to with the throttle body there. So I'm going to give it a shot and see. All right, changed my mind again. I just kept prying at it with the, you can see all the salts from all the radiator fluid. But yeah, I was able to get that hose off, and now here's my finger. See it right there? I'm gonna put my finger on that other bolt. It's right there. My fingertip is touching it. I can see it in the shadows back there. I doubt that you can. Let's see if I get some better light. It is back. Oh, it just lit up. It's back there. So now I can put my long handled 10 millimeter back there and get to it because it's kind of blocked. I can come in maybe through here with a little stubby. I'm not sure. Going to plan C. I think it can be done that way. You can actually see it down the back and get a long handled onto it, but I don't have enough throw when I go to get my long handle on there. I can see it on the back. I can't get enough throw either direction. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the throttle body, because then I just have a clean shot. It's going to make this so much easier. And it's supposed to be like 100 degrees today, so the quicker we get this done, the better. All right, air breather box cover is out of the way with the filter. Now you have a perfect straight shot, nice and easy to get all the extra hoses, coolant hoses off of the thermostat body. 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 2 nuts and 2 bolts. Piece of cake. All right, throttle body's off. That thing was caked on there. I'm gonna need a new gasket. Just some taps with the persuasion with the dead blow hammer there, and it came right off. So now I have a clear shot to see what the heck I'm doing there. Maybe I got a clear shot. I just need to get these hoses to pop off the throttle body, and I can get it completely out of the way. My bolt is still down here at the bottom of my fingertip. Not easy to get to. And voila! There is our thermostat, and I'm pleasantly hopeful or pleased that the little weep for any air bubbles that get caught right here, that little wiggle needle, is on the top, which is where it's supposed to be. So let's pop this thing off of here. See if it'll come out. Oh, it's gonna take some help. Just a quick overview of my 2 thermostats that came out. Here's the old one. Obviously this one, the new one, has a rubber grommet at the base, and that appears to have gone missing over here. Who knows where that went? Don't know. Not really sure what that is all about, but it is not there. All right, YouTube, I'm inside making another pot of coffee. I'm dragging a little bit today. But let's heat this up. I got that old thermostat sitting in a pot of water. It's a 78 degrees Celsius thermostat, so before it comes to a boil, we should see that spring release and that wax in that copper plug expand and push that open. If that doesn't happen, we know it's a failed thermostat. All right, YouTube, we are at a boil. That would be 100 degrees Celsius, and it is barely cracked open. Let's do a quick comparison. How much did that one open? Like maybe a 1/4 of an inch? Let's go try the new one. All right, the new one pretty much is opening up instantly. The minute I put it in there, the water cooled down just a little bit, so I turned it back on. It is already open that far, and probably a little bit more already. Yep, that's opening more than the other one was, instantly. Maybe we found our culprit. That's opening up quite a bit more. That's about twice as much as the other one did. All right, well, the gasket just sits on there. The seal goes on it. It just has an opening. It sits on both sides. There is no gasket on the housing itself. And then you always want this little bleeder valve, toggle valve to sit on the top so air bubbles can work their way through. They don't get trapped on the back side. And you want this facing up, and they make the gasket so that there is a nub on the upper side that goes right into that little part of the housing facing up. Super easy. Now, how am I gonna get that bolt in on the back side? That thing is not easy to get to. All right, sitting down in there, super nice and easy, comes out nice and easy. I did clean up a little of the salts that were sitting on here. So it just goes in this orientation facing towards the radiator. Let's get that put back in there. All right, so using this little itty bitty 10mm ratcheting head, flex head, I was able to get it in there in this space, and then with my left hand down there, hold it onto the nut so I'm not stripping the nut. You can't even see it down in there where the head's at. So I'd reach through underneath here and hold the ratchet head square on the bolt, and then moving this just a wee bit, I could get this to go back and forth out of there. So it took a while, patience. Make sure you're not stripping it because you don't want to be messing around in there. That water jacket's going to be expensive when you got to take all of the plenum off. Yeah, don't do that. Got my lower radiator hose back on with the clamp rotated into its native orientation for good luck. I'm not going to put the upper one on yet because I got to get the fan shroud out. Let's do that before we head to AutoZone, just in case we got to get something else, because I need throttle body gasket. I wasn't expecting that, but I had to take off the upper radiator shroud, beauty shield, because this bolt is just spinning, and I got to get that is not lined up right. So we are definitely not the first people to be in here. That is just spinning. I got to be able to way to hold it on the back side. Fun stuff. All right, and the two bolts on the bottom I just loosened up. I think somebody crammed that in there, didn't have it lined up right, and shoved it really hard and popped the nut out of its little retainer thing. So it just gets in, it's allowed to spin now. So this should lift right out. Let's see if that's a different fan shape than our fancy Siemens for 60 bucks patented fan shape. They look identical. Maybe a little bit different, but not by much. It's a Denso, and oh, it's got a, came out of a junkyard, it looks like. Yep, someone's been in here before us. I bet this one is also bad. All right, let's get a new one in there. All right, YouTube, I just got to show you this because I'm in shock. This car wasn't really driven a lot. It primarily set while my daughter was finishing out college. So I just got this all reattached, and I thought, well, let's go check the fuse. The fuse is right here. It's a 30 amp. It is perfect. That is missing. Right there is a relay, and I'm looking at this diagram. Here's the pretty picture. You see right above my thumb? That's a fan on a radiator. That's the radiator cooling fan. This one, that's its relay switch, and it is missing. There's no way for that to turn on without that present, but I need to go to the parts store and get a relay. I think we narrowed it down. Now we just got to find out if I bet the fan motor was bad because that one's got junkyard pull parts on it, or writing on it. I bet the fan was bad. It probably blew a fuse. They pulled the relay, they pulled the fuse, replaced the fuse, and lost the relay. It might even be down in here somewhere. Who the hell knows? But we're going to get a new one. The missing, there's 3 of them that are the exact same thing. They're all this Omron G8HL-H71. 1, 2, and the missing 3rd one. Supposedly on the Acura zines online, on the message boards, these 2 for the fans go bad. And apparently there's a technical service bulletin to get these replaced. So I ordered 2 of them. This one obviously is working. So there are 2 fans with on the radiators down here. This is the cooling fan. We know that. This is the AC fan. And it is there and working. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this all buttoned back up with coolant, get it vacuum fed. I'm going to move that one over to here because we know this one's good. Put it in, see if we get a working fan. And then tomorrow I'll have both of these replaced. I probably should have got 3. This up here, what these are is the clutch mechanism. That's the AC clutch. That's what this one is. It's still working. I should have this gasket here in about an hour. All right, throttle body's just sitting in place so I could get the coolant hoses back onto the throttle body. They're ready to go. This one goes up to the air box. Question for the Acura people in the world, is this normal? The radiator it seems like it should have a bigger nub. Is this a Honda Acura radiator just from a different vehicle, different year, and it's just got different size grommets? A little weird, but there's nothing that attaches, it just clamps in. Coolant lines are back on, nice and tight. The clamps are back in their native positions. No leaks. I think what I got left, I can do the battery. We'll get the battery in here before the box is going in. Yeah, we'll wait till the throttle body gasket's on before we put the breather box back on the top. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot the little ground wire that goes on the cap housing of the thermostat. Got that on there, 10mm bolt, nice and easy. Now I can put the battery cover back, or the battery holder back on the top of the plate. Drop the battery in. We'll get this connected. I can make sure, I'm positive I have the heat on top, on as high as it can be. All right, just got out of the car, confirmed that the temperature setting is set to the max high, so that means the climate control valve that we changed a couple months ago down there is completely open to let coolant go to the heater core inside the dash. And I dropped it to right around, it lost a little bit. We'll just keep an eye on it. It's kind of leaning and it doesn't fit in there very good, but we'll just keep an eye on it and see if it's leaking at all, and I'll just tighten up some hoses. It is slowly, ever so slowly losing vacuum. I'm not sure if it's from here, but I have not heard it. I don't hear any hissing whatsoever. Is it possible that the head gasket's bad and it's pulling across the cylinder? All right, now I'm worried it might have a head gasket this whole time, even though I've never seen any steam come out the back. Never smelled any coolant in the exhaust. Maybe it was just a leak over the past month or so that she was driving it. There was definitely signs that it had been leaking at the radiator cap. So it's pretty full now. You can actually see it. It was definitely way low on coolant. It's going somewhere. All right, I think the timing's perfect because this old one came off. It's an old paper throttle body gasket. It is all off. I had to scrape up the razor blade to get that to come off. It left a lot of stuff. It's hard to get off around these bolts. I'm hoping that it was just how precarious the vacuum filling system sits into this little hole. And that was where it was weeping pressure, because I've not seen any signs that this thing is burning coolant, but it was definitely low, and there were signs that it had leaked. So I have a feeling this thing's been heating up on her. All right, new Felpro gasket on there. Very inexpensive. I think that was less than 10 bucks. Throttle body is on, and torque 21.7 or 22 newton meters is what it said to do on all four. That is good to go with the new gasket. Let's put the box in and fire it up. All right, I think it's ready to start up. I just set the beauty cover back on the front, got it in the right tabs. It kind of has little prongs that go down on the top of the radiator, but it can still wiggle. Really weird. And I moved the AC fan relay to here because we know that one is working, or at least it was when I pulled it out. So let's start it up and go through the process of burping. It shouldn't have much to burp, but I'm sure it will a little. Let's see if that cooling fan kicks on. What could go wrong at this point? All right, I did cover up the fuse box just in case we get some leaking spray. This is a new thing. It just feels kind of wonky on there. Never really like the way that just doesn't sit so good. It's kind of worn out plastic where the bevels are. I did pull the dipstick on the oil. No signs of coolant, no milkshake. I think it has just been leaking on that old cap because this got replaced a week ago. Sounds good. No weird noises. Nothing sounds off-putting. Waiting on the little OBD2 cheapie. Nope, I don't think we have any code. Oh, it says red. Read codes. What does it say red? Oh, because the battery was dead. So it won't pass. Oh, P0123 throttle position, throttle pedal position sensor switch A circuit high. Interesting. All right, let's clear that. Not really sure what that code was about. We'll figure that out later because we got a cooling situation that's our primary goal today. So this is a cheapie. I think this was like 35 bucks at Napa at one point. Oh, it came back. All right, so we'll worry about that here in a little bit. Oh. Manifold pressure, that's not good. P0 throttle position sensor, circuit high. P0223 throttle pedal position sensor, circuit B, circuit high. We'll figure that out. P0108 manifold absolute pressure. circuit high. Well, that's the first codes it's thrown. It does have a check engine light. Let's just watch and see if we get any. What the heck is going on with the throttle position sensor? It is all clicked. Everything is in. Everything is clicked. Those are the only connections on the throttle. That's interesting. We'll worry about that next. What is our engine coolant? 66. It's supposed to open up at 78, and we're at 66 Celsius, and it's coming up. I don't feel any hot air coming out of this. 71. There is no hot air coming out of that fan. Maybe it's part of the thermostat opening up. 74. Actually, I guess the thermostat opens up at 78. Oh, there we go. 79. All right, so we should have 81. We should have a thermostat. Oh, and I'm feeling, no, nothing changed. I don't understand why there's no heat. It's not AC. AC is off. That one's warm. That one's cold. Oh, fan kicked on. We have a working fan. Cooling fan is on. I don't have any coolant coming through the thermostat. I wonder if we got a clogged radiator. That is not hot. That is very hot. That is not hot. But then again, it is doing its job of cooling on the way back. So I'm not sure what to think of all this. I gotta figure out how these little clips go to hold these two hoses together so they don't rub each other. We have a cooling fan, and we have no heat inside the dash, even though we did it with a vacuum filler. Auto, 86 degrees. Come on, open up. Coolant's at 82. We are not overheating. Fan is running. There is no heat in the dash of this car. I think I might know what's going on with the heat. It's 88 is the high temperature, and it's over 90 degrees in the car, so it's trying to cool us down. And the coolant is staying there. Coolant temperature is 83 degrees Celsius. I think we're making progress. Let's see if that fan is still running. I think it kicked off. It did kick off. That one's really warm. That one's fairly warm. Interesting. All right. All right, well, I just ran back and grabbed the camera, the phone, because I discovered I got warm air coming out of here when I revved it up. So just need a little bit more water pump. Maybe the water pump is weak. Chime down below, guys. We're up to 81. Coolant is not going up. We're just staying at 81. It dropped to 79 a little bit ago, but when I rev it up, I get a lot of warm air. So when these idle, do they not put a lot of coolant through, or maybe there's just a little bit of an air pocket it's got to shove out of the way? But it appears to be doing it. We are up to temp. All right, and something has drastically changed because both coolant hoses are now warm. So I've just had a little air bubble in there that had to work its way out. And we are flowing, baby, because they are both, that one's still cooler, but it's still hot. This one's much hotter. So excellent, we are not overheating. We are staying in the middle at 86. I turned the fan down so it will pull less heat through the car. See if we can get that fan to kick on one more time. Make sure we didn't blow a fuse. All right, I'm not going to drive it anywhere, but it is still sitting at 87 and still sitting in the middle. The fan is not kicking on. I can make the fan kick on if I hit the AC button. It's not the AC fan, it's just the cooling fan. So it's sitting, it went up to 88. I have this on low, so it's not pulling all the heat off. Let's see if that fan will kick on. All right, well, it's still sitting here. Well, it's warm coming out. I just have it on low, so it's not pulling a ton of heat off of the engine. We're up to 91, and Google AI is telling me it doesn't kick in on the fan until 97. All right, should be ready to kick on any second. It went 96. Come on. Well, we just hit 100, and it is not kicking on. There is no fan working, so not sure what happened. More exploring to do. Maybe that relay's bad. All right, interesting. Do you hear that? Look in here. Is it just burping off air that's going to suck in more coolant here in a little bit? I bet that's what it is. We're just going to let it do it. We're going to let it cool down and come back out later this evening. Alright, so here's where I'm at. I'm pretty sure that this radiator cap, this aftermarket one, doesn't quite fit right, because it should stay locked and running pressure into the overflow tank, which allows it to suck it back in. If it's losing pressure here, it never pushes it in, which is why this was full, even though this was about a jug light. So it had lost a lot of coolant out the cap. The old cap and this new cap don't fit right. I will get an Acura one tomorrow when I'm in Boulder. I'm sure they have those in stock. And we will do this again tomorrow morning. Now on these electrical codes while I'm out here. So it appears to be, it's most likely a pinched wire. It's these two sensors. Here's our throttle position, pedal position. This is our throttle body position sensor. And then this is our mass air pressure sensor. And they are on the same harness coming out of here. And guess what we had done? Both those were disconnected. They can be, I believe on some cars they can be interchanged by mistake, but I did just verify that this is the right color pattern. It was the yellow with the green and exposed, and this one is not exposed. So those are the correct, how they were when we found it. But we also had off down here, hidden down in there where my fingertip is at, that ground wire. So I will pull that back off and just kind of sand that so it has metal to metal contact again. All right, YouTube, I'm just peeling off all the old loom. Somebody else has had these same problems and been in here before, because that's a junkyard marking, that's a paint pen, and so's that one. These have been tapped in. So what is underneath here that we are not aware of yet? Oh, all of these have a blue paint pen on them. Every single one. This harness has been redone. The entire harness has been rewired. Blue paint. Blue paint, blue paint. All right, I bet we got blue paint on the throttle body control one too. All right, so I did get this one all the way apart. I didn't find any places where I think the wiring is bad. This wasn't on its mount for this part of the loom. I just moved it across and pushed it down on there. I'm gonna go with the easy solution first, because we did mess with the ground of that entire section of loom. So let's pull that ground apart, make sure it's good, and I'll just sand the surfaces so it's making good metal to metal contact right down there. All right, so here's my initial theories. I think it was just this little nut. So you can see some residue of I was trying to focus on my finger, not the nut, but you can see some residue of where the ground was originally, and just some residue of oily, silt deposits and grime that was in there. And then when I put it back on and screwed it in, it just smeared that, and it didn't allow good metal to metal contact. So I've just sanded that and taken a wire brush to it, as well as the contacts. I'm pretty sure that when we put this back on, it's not going to have a good ground for both of those set of wires. And then those codes will be gone, because that's the most likely cause, since we were just in here and they're right next to each other on the same two sets of wires running into the same harness with the ground coming out the other side. All right, so I have my ground put back on there, all nice and cleaned up. Let's just start it up and see if the theory is correct, that the codes are gone. All right, YouTube, well, it is running. You can see the check engine light is on. I did put in the code reader and they said they are stored codes. Well, reading a little bit more on these, that the codes are still active on hard electrical failures. Could be a short in the harness, giving it 12 volts instead of 5 volts that these two share. So one of the things that said it could do it as well as the connectors, one of the connectors or the sensors themselves. And it said that they would trigger all three codes. So it said, hey, just disconnect one of these at a time and see if all three codes go away, or if two of the three go away. All right, we're back in business. No codes. There have been no codes. They went away. All I did was disconnect the throttle position sensor. I think that's what that is. Or no, that's the MAP. That's the mass air pressure. This is actually intake air temperature. That's not anything to do with what we're working on. So when I disconnected this, obviously the car died. When I reconnected it and started the car, code disappeared. So we are golden. There are no codes. So could be like a little bit of a short, or just this connector is most likely the issue. Just got back from the Acura dealer in Boulder, and 3 of these replacements, they are 39794 SDA 803. They are the exact same Omron, whatever number that is. So these have a history of failing when they get hot and they age. So we're replacing all 3 of them that are in that box. They control the cooling fan, the air conditioning fan, and I believe this one controls the clutch on the AC unit. I also have a new radiator cap. All right, just observing them side by side as I pulled them out. All 3 of them are in. They have a different lot number or whatever the serial number is. And they are more gray than the other ones that fail that were black. So maybe they've just updated the production of them. This radiator cap, I just want to show you this. It is so bad. It is on there really well. It's on, it just doesn't fit and it wiggles. Watch this. I was able to get this thing to pop free without even turning it. Look at that. Well, that's where all of the coolant went. Here's our radiator cap. It's a 19045-PAA-A01. And the first thing I noticed right away is the little tabs. These are really flimsy and they just bend. It can just get off. These are a little bit more substantial and bigger. Different shapes, different proportions. So that's further up. This sits further down. So we'll see if this is... I read online that these engines and these original OEM radiators require an Acura. These aftermarkets won't work. Perfect fit. That does not wiggle side to side. It is on and fit down in there much more snugly. Filled it up just to the bottom of the filler next, get rid of that air gap, and we're full here. Start up, let's see what happens. Actually, I'm gonna put the, I need to clean this connector real fast. I was watching the World Cup. We got Argentina, Spain in the final. It's gonna be amazing. I am gonna put the air box back on because it's gonna work, right? We're good. Yay, we are running no check engine codes. Just gonna let it come back up to temperature again. Everything should be good. We'll let it go through a warm up to operating temp and then let it drop down and suck coolant and get rid of any air gaps in there. I'm going to connect the OBD2 so we can do live data and just see the temperature come up and make sure everything looks right and matches. I think we have solved it. I thought that yesterday too. Oh my God, YouTube. 96 degrees now. It was 98. And I've never heard the fan kick on low. It's actually on a low setting and it just turned itself off. This is working perfect. Yep, both hoses are warm. We've been open for a while on the thermostat. We do have a little leak of coolant, and it looks to be coming from the overflow hose right here. Maybe there's a crack around the bottom of the neck. I'm not sure, but I think it's coming from here and just a little bit of weepies. We'll see when that sucks down, when it overflows and then sucks it back in, that pulls itself tighter. For grins, I fired up the AC and that fan's on and that fan's on. We've never had that occur before. Temperature is staying at, it dropped actually with both fans and it got just a wee bit cool. I think the AC system needs a recharge. It's definitely running. I saw the clutch was on the compressor, but it's not really that cool. I think it needs a recharge, but that's easy, right? I think we did it. Yeah, drive successful. Never got over 100. It hit 100 up the hill with the AC on. It does need an AC recharge. AC is working, but it's just cool. It doesn't really get cold. But I hit 100 up the hill when I hit it really hard in the heat. Again, it's in the low 90s outside Fahrenheit. Down there's that Celsius. Yeah, it's doing great. So I think we have a driver car again. It's a glorious sight. The radiator and the reservoir are communicating again, sharing fluid. It's down probably a little over an inch. So we will fill that up, do another heat cycle. Things are looking up. It's just sitting here idling. We're at 88 degrees. I don't know if it's going to focus on that screen or not. Coolant is, everything's perfect. It hasn't gone above that since we did this. This did go up a little bit. I put it right at the max, so it has heat. It's warming up and expanding. But we have a new development. Look at that. And just happened to come along here and take a look. You see that little shine all along the plastic end cap crimp, the seal there? A little shiny. This radiator end cap leaks. So radiator replacement. It's nice and easy though, right? I just wish I would have known that before I did the fan, because I was a third of the way there. Well, the righty then, back in we go. Napa was able to get a Denso, the OE manufacturer radiator. they'll have that here by 1 o'clock at the local store. I'll go pick it up. And O'Reilly's has Gates hoses. They will be here by 1 o'clock-ish as well. So let me pull the radiator. I will check back in with you. It's going to be the same, mostly the same stuff that we did already to get to that radiator, or the cooling fan. I just got to do the other side fan and drain everything out and pull it out, right? It's easy. I'm getting smarter, YouTube. Clean garden bucket, although it's leaking right there. Ah, it's coming from all over the place. That's a lot cleaner than doing it in a drain pan and having it splatter all over me. YouTube, that is so much easier than pulling a Volvo radiator. There's no triple stack with the radiator, the intercooler, and the evaporator. That was, or the, yeah, evaporator, condenser. That was way easier. I do know that it had a ton of black. I already cleaned it. That's good for a couple horsepower down there. See down there? A couple horsepower. I cleaned all the oil that was off of that. You can see how this one's normal without oil dripping. Right down there on the subframe, and this side's all nice and clean. I do know that when she bought it, they had told her they had replaced the valve cover gaskets. So it looks like this one had leaked for a very, very long time because it was very cruddy down there. And bam, there it is. But that's a pet peeve of mine. This is brand new out of the box. And there are all little sections right here, just on this side, where it got bumped. Man, that sucks. With easy access to the AC, the condenser there, I just blew some compressed air through it from this back side, just blow out the dust. It's not really that jacked up. Straightened up most of the little warbles in here. Put the feed on from the other radiator. She's ready to go in the car. This is so easy. It literally just sits down in there, and the 2 feet go in divots. Once they're in their divots correctly, these little inserts. There's another junkyard part, or labeled with painting. That's a different color, but that doesn't look bent. I don't think it's been wrecked. There's no frame issues, nothing seen underneath. The radiator was out. But it's interesting. That's a lot of parts that have been junkyarded. All right, so just have to pull the fan shroud bolts on the bottom from the old radiator. There's one right there, 2 on that side, 1 on this side. And I cleaned up the AC fan, got it all cleaned up. So that's at least another horsepower. And it just slides down in here and sits on 1 screw, and then the fan sits on, or the cooling fan sits on 2 of them right there. Et voila! Both fans are in. I just need to do the electrical connectors. I sprayed them with electrical cleaner, electronic cleaner, but right when I got the radiator here, so they are completely dry. Yeah, just have to reuse the bolts on here on the top. They came with new nuts that are pressed in, because remember that one was broke. So we are good. Just have put some anti-seize on all of the bolts. They are tightened up. It is supposed to rock. There's supposed to be movement in there, so that's supposedly normal. Woohoo! 2 Gates hoses, nothing but the best for the Acura new radiator and fan and relays. Things are looking up around here. Let's re-vacuum seal this, put the coolant back in, and fire it up through some heat cycles. Battery is in, connected. Air tube is back in. Everything is attached. None of this was touched today. Just the new radiator, new hoses. Coolant is back in, vacuum filled, topped off, ready to go. Let's do our first heat cycle. Well, everything's going great to plan. It's up to temp. The fan is kicked on, kicked off. Did you see that drip of coolant coming down on the thing right there? That's coming off the front of the engine, the bottom down by the main seal and the main crankshaft pulley. That's a leaking water pump. The water pump is failing on us. So it says on here it was done at 78,000 miles. The car's at 115, so that's 37,000. And it was done 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago. So it's time for another water pump, and that's with a timing belt. And I'm not 100% sure I'm comfortable doing that on my daughter's car, on an Acura. It's still got a lot of life left in it. Well, YouTube, found my limits. Not comfortable doing a timing belt water pump, all of that on the Acura. So I called a favor with a friend, gonna take it up there in a week. Parts are ordered. It's like less than $300 for the kit. So it's a pretty full kit from ASIN. I'm gonna do that here probably in about 10-15 days. 10 days probably we'll get that done, and we'll go from there. But if I can do most of it, you can do most of it. Be safe out there, YouTube. Have fun.